Hey everyone, it's Dr. Fields. Today I'm going to be describing a phenomenon called the whoosh effect. And I know the term sounds kind of funny, but after I illustrate that effect for you, I think you'll probably be able to deduce where that term came from. Okay, so fortunately for me, I am very detail oriented. I've always been my entire life. And I really like to journalize and record things and write things down just so that, future me can kind of see what past me did and where I was at that moment in time. I just find it helpful. And because I've always been so proud of my accomplishments with weight loss, it's something that I documented, you know, pretty much to a very great extent, not just in terms of my actual results, in terms of my weight, but my body measurements. Uh, I had a series of before and after pictures, and also journalizing like what was going on in my head at the time, what were my feelings, et cetera, et cetera. And it's really helpful because it makes me appreciate more of where I am now and the journey that it took to get here. And also, it provides a roadmap for me and anyone else that ever encounters these kind of issues again. Okay, so here is 6 weeks into my very successful weight loss program that I developed way, way, way back when I had basically figured this all out and said, you know what, there's got to be a better way. These crash diets aren't working. All this stuff that I'm looking at on the internet seems very misleading, or there seem to be these plans that are great for other people, but not for me. I figured out that psychology played such a huge part in this, and this was the result of a plan that I created based on everything that I learned in psychology and this relearning that took place in terms of what you really need to do to lose weight. I have to tell you, the first week, I was not very optimistic, but hopeful. So there was a degree of hopefulness there, but not a lot of optimism. I forgot my first entry. Okay, so when I started this weight loss plan years ago, this is the first successful weight loss plan that I created after many, many failed attempts. My starting weight was 260 pounds. I wanted to get down to my high school weight. I think I was in my early 30s at this time. I wanted to get down to my high school weight, which was 200 pounds. I remember that being my goal. And so, that was a large amount of weight to lose. I think you've heard me say before, anywhere up to about 20 pounds is like a mild amount of weight to lose. And, once you're talking about like 30, 40 pounds, that's like a moderate amount of weight. And more than 40, certainly once you get to like 50 or more pounds is a large amount of weight to lose. So that was my original goal. I wanted to get down to 200. I actually wound up getting down to 190 because once I got to 200, I was feeling so great and looking really, really great. And I just had it in my mind to get like the six-pack abs. And I was like, I'm almost there, another 10 pounds, and, I'll have that kind of physique. And so that was my quest at the time. I don't think I maintained that for too long. It was fun that summer or however long it lasted. And then I put back on like 10 pounds because it's just too uncomfortable to live life at that kind of body fat level. But yeah, the ultimate amount of weight loss that I lost on this program was 70 pounds altogether. But I maintained a weight loss of 60 pounds for a very, very long time. And then eventually became more comfortable gaining a few pounds back, and that was fine. So not, to be discussing so much that past journey that I went through, but more so to illustrate the whoosh effect, because I think it's really important, because if you don't know about this and you start down that weight loss path, and it happens to you, it can be so discouraging, and you won't really understand why it happened. Sure. Or you won't really understand what's going on, and you'll make these false assumptions of what it means, okay? So I started off at around 260 pounds. The very first week, I lost 3 pounds. That's not uncommon. When you have a good amount of weight to lose, you can easily lose 3 pounds a week for a period of time. And especially when you're first starting out, that, your body can be very responsive to a calorie deficit that you create. So fantastic, right? Like my first week from here to here, and I lost 3 pounds. And I was looking at my notes. I was ecstatic, super, super pumped. And I made a false assumption at this time that I wrote down in my notes that, wow, this is great. I'll lose 3 pounds a week and I'll get to my weight loss goal in about 20 weeks. Those expectations were a little bit far-fetched, but you can see how I made that conclusion from the first week's results. So the second week was a bit discouraging, because it was only a half a pound of weight loss. But there was, I remember in my notes, some midweek celebration, a family member's birthday party. And so it wasn't a typical week. So I wasn't so discouraged, because I was like, hey, you know what, a half a pound, and I did consume a bunch of extra calories on that other night for my relative's birthday. Still not so bad. I'll take it, right? The following week, I went down to 254.7, which is almost 2 pounds. Again, not as excited as my first week, but I think by this point, I started to have more realistic expectations that a 2 pound loss of weight per week would be more realistic, and that there's nothing wrong with that. Bottom line is, I'm still making really good progress. I'm already down 5+ pounds. So, life was good. The week after that, about 1.5 pounds again. Again, a little disappointed, but still on the path, still losing weight. And again, the psychology of weight loss was, at the forefront of my mind, saying that slow and steady is the way to go. As long as you're progressing, as long as you keep losing weight, everything is good. So managing that those expectations and that initial disappointment, which later I was able to really look more realistically at and say, this is fine. 1 to 2 pounds of week weight loss is great. It's consistent, no issues. So everything was great. Everything was fine. I was happy with the way I was progressing, right? And then all of a sudden, we get to this week. And I was like, what the heck is going on? I literally remember jumping on that scale like 6 to 7 times, because I couldn't believe it. And I had a super accurate scale at the time. But I think in my mind, it didn't make any sense, because, according to my notes and everything else, there was nothing different about this week. Like, I stuck to the plan very well. Again, we're never looking for 100% compliance, but I was very compliant. I was very much sticking to the plan for the most part, which is what you want to do, not 100%, but for the most part. There was no like midweek celebrations to account for extra calories, nothing. And I just couldn't understand it. My workout schedule it was the same. I maintained the same kind of intensity during my workouts. I just didn't understand it. And what was really disappointing was this result not only was showing a gain of weight compared to this week, but even the week before that. So it's like 2 weeks for nothing. Like I did nothing. Like it's as if I didn't even, put any effort into losing weight. It was super, super discouraging. So the next week comes and I'm like, oh, I'm telling you, if I don't lose weight this week, I don't know, what I'm going to do, because every fiber in my body told me that this plan was the plan. It was working. It was going to work. It was going to take me to my goal. And I was super, super discouraged. And then I get on the scale and my eyes grew like 4 times their size. I could not believe the number I was seeing. And again, I got off the scale and on the scale like 7 times because I couldn't believe it. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, it's early in the morning when you're supposed to weigh yourself, right? So before my coffee, before anything, I'm still barely awake. And I'm like, my math skills are not that great this early in the morning, but that is looking like it's more than a 5-pound weight loss. So I was super excited. But then a part of me was saying, but wait a minute, there is no way that I lost that amount of weight this week. That's impossible. Because again, according to my notes, I had not done anything drastically different. During any of these weeks, except that 1 week where I only lost a half a pound because of that midweek celebration. But other than that, nothing changed from week to week that was significant. Little changes here, but nothing significant is what I'm saying, right? A 5.5 or 5.7, 5 pounds and, change here of weight loss in 1 week. Let me just show you mathematically the kind of deficit that you would have to have for that. So roughly about, and don't be like such a stickler with these numbers, because I know there's research out there to show that this isn't necessarily the magic number, but it's pretty darn close from all my experience. 3,500 calories are in a pound, okay? A pound of fat. So, because that's what we're losing, hopefully. So times 5 would be 17,500 calories. And then you're talking about that 0.7 there, right? Which is like almost 3/4 of a pound. So that's got to be at least another 3,000 calories, right? I mean, that's 20,500 calories. Like, so basically looking at this, it's as if I was in a caloric deficit that week that was 20,500 calories divided by 7 days is 2,928 calories per day that I'm down. Like that's the deficit per day. Almost 3,000 calories per day I'm down. Absolutely not. No way in heck. Because the calories I was maintaining back then to be in that deficit were around 2,000 calories. There is no way. So 3,000 below that is like negative numbers. It's just impossible. So how did this happen? So how the heck did this happen? Did I really manage magically to lose 5 pounds and 3/4 weight that 1 week? No. This is known as the whoosh effect. And it's like whoosh, 5 pounds loss. A pound loss, 2 pounds loss, 1 pound loss, a little gain, whoosh, 5+ pounds. The reason why the whoosh happens is because a lot of times your progress can be masked by body weight fluctuations due to water fluctuations, water weight. And the other thing, not to get too graphic, but sometimes there is undigested matter in the intestine, waste that hasn't come out yet, that's still kind of stuck in the large intestine. And so between water weight fluctuations and sometimes, waste that hasn't been excreted yet, you are not always going to see the results of your labor every week, which brings me to my main conclusion that you should never, ever, ever weigh yourself daily, because there's just too much variability from day to day. If a week's worth of effort can be masked, then could you imagine how a day's worth of effort could be masked? Because of these water weight fluctuations and, sometimes matter not being fully digested, and, gotten rid of, so to speak, that can mask the results. And so if you're steadily losing weight on a weight loss program and nothing has changed dramatically, and all of a sudden there's like this funny number on the scale one week in the sense that it stayed exactly the same or it went up, especially, a pound and a half here, even more, don't throw in the towel. Do not throw in the towel, because all this data here says that this plan is working. Don't throw in the towel and expect that you're going to experience a whoosh either the next week or definitely by the week after that. Usually it's the very next week, but it could even be delayed another week. So I did not lose over 5 pounds from this week to this week. This number reflects the 2 weeks worth of work that I did. And so if we are looking from this number to this number, right, that's a 4 pound approximate weight loss, which means for a 4 pound weight loss over these 2 weeks means that I actually lost about 2 pounds each week. And that was exactly where I was at in terms of this weight loss program. It was very consistent with at least 1 pound to 2 pounds a week. And it continued like that until I got to my goal weight. And there were tweaks and changes that I did in my program that I can definitely talk to you about at another time. But generally, this program, the way it was working, and it was producing consistent results. And thankfully, I did not throw in the towel when I got to this week. Many of you, and myself included, would be very susceptible to saying, screw it, having a case of the efforts, as I call it, and saying like, that's it, I'm done. I knew it wasn't going to work, and that's it. Know about the whoosh effect. If you start a weight loss program and the very next week you gain weight, probably not a whoosh effect. Or if you start a weight loss program and like the first couple of weeks there's no weight loss, and then the next week you gain a little weight, don't expect a whoosh effect. It doesn't seem like it's working. Usually on an effective weight loss program, the first week that it's implemented, you should see some weight loss. And as you're going through the weeks, there should be some consistency of weight loss, not consistency with the exact amount of weight loss each week, but the fact that if it's working each week, the numbers should be changing. And on average, it should be around 1 to 2 pounds a week. Okay. If you're going along for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even 20 weeks, and all of a sudden, and it's been working great and nothing's changed drastically in your plan, and all of a sudden there's a weight increase or there's no weight loss, my point is don't panic. Because if you know that this program has been working because you have weeks and weeks of evidence that it has been, and nothing drastically changed that week, It's just results that are masked. You can't see them yet, but you will. The whoosh will happen and you will see the results. This is Dr. Eric Fields. I hope this was helpful in terms of you kind of having the right expectations in terms of the journey of losing weight. I will have more to say about this topic at a later time.